Okay, let's continue our chapter 8, discuss flow in pipes. Last video stopped at multiple pipe systems. Now, so far we are doing with single pipe systems. But what to do if we have more than one pipe? And if we have more than one pipe, normally the arrangement we either will be in series or in parallel. Now in this case you can see we have more than one pipe and we have three different pipes in series, pipe 1, pipe 2, pipe 3 connected in series from point A to point B. And then here we have some parallel pipe flow arrangement. So whenever you have pipe flow in series, you add your flow rate. Q1 is equal to Q2 is equal to Q3. You are going to add your flow rates. So whatever flow rate is, the flow rates are equal. So 1 is equal to 2 is equal to 3, or the flow rate here from A to B is exactly the same. Q1 is equal to Q3. Here for the series pipe flow, you add your head loss. HLAB is equal to HL1 plus HL2 plus HL3. You add your head loss from point A to point B. That's what you do. For series pipe flow, if it is parallel pipe flow like this one, now in this here we have large tanks, tank A and tank B, and we have three different pipes going from A to B with different diameter. We are going to assume that this pipe has same length, same material, but the diameter is different. So 1, 2, 3, they are different diameter. If that's the case, then here total flow rate from tank A to tank B is added. Q1 is equal to Q2 is equal to Q3. 1, 2, 3, Q1, Q2, Q3 is total flow rate. That's your total Q. And then when it comes to head loss, what energy equation says, if you apply an energy equation from point A to point B, what it says is that the head loss for all the fluid particles, head loss here, head loss here, head loss here is exactly same. So here HL1 is equal to HL2 is equal to HL3. That's what happens with parallel pipe flow systems. So keep that in mind. When pipes are in series, flow rate is same, add your head loss. If pipes are in parallel, flow rates are added, head loss is equal. HL1, HL2, HL3 equal. Parallelly, series, you add it. So keep that difference in mind, because this is the thing that helps us to solve the problems when it comes to series pipe flow and when it comes to parallel pipe flow system. So collectively you can add these head losses for series and then they are equal for parallel. So let's solve a problem for a parallel pipe flow system. Now in this problem I have two tanks, tank A and tank B. So here we have a large tank, two pipes are there, one pipe is 50 millimeter diameter, another is 100 millimeter diameter. So two pipes are going from tank A to tank B. Friction factor 0.32 for both pipes, friction factor is same. What we have to do in this problem is to calculate flow rate. The flow is going through the gravity. Here tank A is 10 meter high, tank B is base height 0. So here tank A 10 meter high is going from here to here, and then we want to find out what is the flow rate in pipe A and what is the flow rate in pipe B. We want to know that, and that's what they have asked, flow rate in each pipe. Second thing they have asked is, I want to replace these two pipes with one single pipe for the same flow rate, same collective flow rate. What is the diameter? So instead of 2, I am going to put just one pipe, but combined flow rate of 1 and 2. Then what should be the diameter, what should be the size of that pipe? That's the second thing. But the first part, you need to know flow rate for the both one, and then you can combine it. So for the first part, you need to know Q1, Q2. Q1 is flow rate A1, V1, Q2 is A2, V2. It means that you need to know velocities in this pipe. Velocity at pipe 1 and velocity at pipe 2. If you know these velocities, you should be able to get flow rate. So that's the goal, to calculate velocities to get flow rate for the first part. Now here I am going to make some assumptions for this kind of problem. First assumption we make, this triangle symbol means open to atmosphere. So here this is gauge pressure at A and gauge pressure at B is 0. So I am going to write down PA, PB is equal to 0. So that's the first assumption we will make when you deal with this kind of problem. Then velocity at tank A, point A and point B is 0. What does it mean? The surface area of this tank is very large. So that's A, the water level at A is going down or at B is going up. It's extremely slow rate. So velocity is almost 0. So I'm going to consider that VA and VB is equal to 0. So that's the assumption I make, and then some geometry. ZA is equal to 10 meters, ZB is equal to 0 meters. So ZA, the height of the A from the base is 10 meters, and ZB is my base height. I'm going to put it 0. And these are the assumptions. I put it there, and then I'm going to apply my Bernoulli's equation from point A to point B. So if I apply Bernoulli's equation, it will look something like this. Now in this equation, PB is 0, I'm going to cancel that out. VB 0, cancel that out. ZA 10 meters, ZB 0, cancel that out. So I have only HL. That's it, that's the equation I get. ZA is equal to HLI. Now for parallel flow, we head losses are always equal. It means whatever head loss here will be equal to head loss here. That's for parallel flow. It does mean I can write this equation as ZA is equal to HL1 equal to HL2. This is very important. Once you have that, you can calculate velocity V1 and V2. So I'm going to run this equation. HL head loss measure is nothing but this one is given. So I'm going to write down 10 is equal to FL1 V1 square and FL2 V2 square, and this. Collectively, if we solve this equation for this one, and then 10 for this one, you should be able to get your value for V1 and V2. Once you have V1 and V2, you can calculate Q1 and Q2. Now at this point, if you want, you can pause the video, you can calculate velocities, and you should be able to calculate flow rate from each pipe. So that's what they have asked. This is the equation that you use to calculate flow rate. Now let's do that. Let's calculate this flow rate. So first, to get velocities, if you run this equation, you will get velocity as 0.5 and 0.7. So 0.5 here and 0.7 here. You get these velocities. Once you have velocities, you can calculate flow rate. Q1 is equal to A1, V1 is equal to A2, V2. Your flow rate gets 0.001 and 0.006. Of course, pipe 2 is bigger, so the flow rate is higher. And pipe 1 is smaller, so flow rate is relatively lower. That's the first part of the problem, get your flow rate. Second part says if I'm going to combine this flow rate and if I'm going to replace these two pipes with one single pipe, what is the diameter? So let's combine this flow rate. So for this flow rate, for 0.00723, combination of these two flow rate from tank A to tank B, for one single pipe, what is the diameter instead of tube? Now that single pipe has same properties, same friction factor as pipe, these two pipes. It means that ZA is equal to HLI is still valid for that big pipe. So here, to calculate the diameter, I'm going to use this continuity equation. Q is equal to AV. Our velocity in that big pipe is given by Q by A. Now here, I'm going to put some numbers in. Q is 0.007 and area capital D, pi by 4 capital D. That's capital D is the diameter of the big pipe. I need to know what is the capital D. I'm going to solve it, and then I'll get a relation V is equal to 0.092 d square. Now my objective is to get diameter. Here I don't know velocity, I don't know diameter. It's one equation, two unknowns. I need another equation. So I'm going to use this one. 10 ZA is equal to something that we got from Bernoulli's equation earlier, FLV square D 2G. So that is my objective, to calculate D. So I'm going to take this velocity, this thing entirely, value for velocity, I am going to plug it here in this velocity. Once I plug it, I can solve this equation like this. So here 10.32 is friction factor is given, 100 is length, velocity, diameter 9.2 g. So all you have to do is solve this one, and then you'll get something like this, and finally you'll get diameter around 106 millimeters. So if you want to replace this pipe with one big pipe for the same flow rate, same collective flow rate, you need a diameter of 106 millimeters. So that's how you do this problem. Now let's do to another problem. Now in this problem, what we have is three tanks, tank A, tank B, tank C, A, B, C. The water is flowing from A to B, and then it's going to be A to C. Initially, the valve is closed, so it's going just from A to B, and then later you're going to open this valve, and then it's going to go from A to B and then A to C collectively. The problem says that what we have to do is try to calculate flow rate in tank pipe 2 when the valve is open. It means now the water is going from A to B, at the same time it's going from A to C, it bifurcates here, and then it goes to A to C, and then when all that arrangement is going, try to calculate what is the value of flow rate in pipe 2. So we want to know Q2 when there is a flow Q1, Q2 and Q3, all the flow is going. Length is given for pipe 1, pipe 2, pipe 3. The diameter of each pipe is exactly same. The problem is to calculate Q2. So you can read the problem if you want. So here the friction factor for all these pipes is 0.02. So 0.02, 0.02, 0.02 is same. And when our objective is to calculate Q2, in this case we can calculate V2 and calculate Q2. So what is the velocity here? That's what we want to know. V2. When we get velocity, we should be able to get Q2. Now, we make some assumptions. Triangle means open to atmosphere. Gauge pressure 0, gauge pressure 0, gauge pressure 0. PA, PB, PC 0. Then velocities, these tanks are very big. Velocities goes up and down, it's at very slow rate. I'm going to take it 0. So it goes down, goes up, is 0. So VA, VB, VC 0. And then ZA is equal to 15 meters, ZB, ZC 0 elevation. So elevation here is base height 0, it's 15 meters is given, diameter we already. So I'm going to make this some assumptions here, and then when the valve is open, I can say that all that flow rate Q1 is equal to Q2 plus Q3. So whenever the water is flowing from A to B and A to C collectively, the flow rate bifurcates and the Q1 is equal to Q2 plus Q3. Now diameter is pipe, each pipe is same, it means areas are same. So here I can cancel this A1, A2 and A3 because areas are same. A1 is equal to A2 is equal to A3. So I can divide the entire equation by either A2, A3 or A1, and then I can cancel it out and I'll have only V1, V2, V3. So I'll get the equation V1 is equal to V2 is equal to V3. I'm going to write that down. V1 is equal to V2 is equal to V3. My objective is to calculate V2 to get Q2, but I don't have V1, I don't have V3. So I'm going to simply call this equation as equation 1. Now in this type of problem you are going to get 4 or 5 different equations, and you solve these equations, you should be able to get V2. So here now our objective is to calculate V2. So far we don't have that, so I'm going to call it equation 1, and then I'm going to apply Bernoulli's equation between tank A and tank B. So I have tank A, tank B. I'm going to apply my Bernoulli's equation. These tanks are connected in series. So pipe 1 and pipe 2 are in series. In series, we add your head losses. So here I have HL1 and HL2. Now, for this Bernoulli's equation from A to B, PA, PB, PC 0. So this one 0. Velocities are 0. I'm going to cancel it out. The height ZB is elevation is a base height is 0. So I have only 3 terms, ZA and HL1 and HL2, and that's pretty much it. If I solve these ones, I'll get another equation and you will see that. So here I'm going to put this here. So I have ZA, HL1 plus HL2, and I'm going to call this one as equation 2. And then I'm going to solve this equation. I'm going to put some numbers in, the length, the friction factor, diameter, all that in, and I'm going to solve this equation. So here I'm going to solve this equation number 2. I'm going to put some numbers in, and once I solve it, I'll get something like this: 18.4 V1 square plus 0.5 V2 square. Still, I don't have V1, so I cannot calculate V2. So I'm going to keep it as equation number 3, and then I'm going to move on to apply Bernoulli's equation between point A and point C, A to C. So water flow is going from here and then here, it's in series. So pipe 1 and pipe 3 are in series. So here I'm going to apply my equation, and then again same thing, PA cancels out, PC cancels out, VA, VC cancels out, GC is elevation 0. So I have ZA and HL1 plus HL3. When it comes to series flow, we add head losses, HL1, HL3. We are going to add that, and when we are going to have another equation here between this one ZA, HL1, HL2. We are going to have this equation like this one. I'm going to call it equation number 4. I'm going to put some numbers in, and I will get another equation. 18.4 V1 square, 0.93 V3 square, equation number 5. Now, if you look at these three equation number 3 and equation 5, I have 18.4 here, I have 18.4 here. I have V1 square here, I have V1 square here. Now, if out of 3 entities, 2 entities are exactly same, 2 variables, the third has to be exactly same. So, from equation 3 and from equation 5, I can say that 0.5 V2 square is equal to 0.93 V3 square. So, I am going to write that down. 0.5 is equal to 0.93 V3 square. I am going to take square root of both sides and I am going to solve this equation. 0.73 V2 is equal to V3. Done. Now, you remember equation number 1, V1 is equal to V2 plus V3. I am going to take this value of V3 and I am going to plug it in here. So, it will become V1 is equal to V2 plus 0.73 V2, and that will become V1 is equal to 1.73 V2. Now, I am going to take that 1.73 V2, I am going to put it here, equation number 3. So, I am going to put that and I am going to run this equation again. So, here it will become 18.4 V1 square, and then again V1 will become 1.73 square V2 square, and then I can solve it. So, if I do that, if I take this value in equation number 3, the equation 3 will look something like this. Now, all I have to do is solve for V2. That's it. That's the problem. You will get velocity. Once you have velocity, you can calculate Q. So, here, if you do that, if you pause the problem, you can get velocity is 2.2, 9, or 2.3. Q2 is become around 0.018. That's the flow rate you get. With this kind of method, you can calculate any velocity, any flow rate. You can calculate Q1, V1, you can calculate Q3, V3. So, that's how we do this problem. You get final answer 0.018, and that's the flow rate in pipe 2. Let's move on to the next part, multiple pipe systems. What to do if you have more than one pipe which is in this combination of parallel and series, like this one. Multiple inlets, multiple outlets, we have parallel flow, we have series flow, all the complex things going on. So, in the past, people used to do trial and error solutions. So, because we didn't know exactly what's happening, so trial and error was the best way. But nowadays, you don't have to do trial and error, you can simply use computers, computational fluid dynamics simulation. So, all you do is that gives everything, all the input to the computer. We have computer program. That computer program uses same equations that we did, but only it does it in complex form collectively, and then it can solve it for you. So you can use CFD, computational fluid dynamics, and then solve the complex problems. So that's how you can do this. Now, once you're done with multiple pipe flow, let's move on to the pipe flow rate measurement. We know in chapter 3 that there are different flow rate measurement devices such as differential pressure meter, orifice meter, nozzle meter, venturi meter. And in chapter 3 we came up with this kind of equation. If you combine Bernoulli's equation and continuity equation, you will get this equation to calculate flow rate, amount of flow flowing through these devices. The problem with this equation is we assume perfect conditions. We don't consider major or minor losses, but life is not so perfect. So, when you use these multiple equations, in reality, you have to modify this equation to accommodate those losses that you are going to have. And to accommodate those losses, we make some slight changes to equation. So, if it is orifice meter, we add CO. So, equation stays same, we add CO, orifice discharge coefficient, and calculate Q. CO is normally given, but if it is not given, just in case, you can calculate it from this kind of chart. So, this kind of chart, you need Reynolds number, and then you need D by D. D by D is the ratio. This is small diameter, this is a big diameter. And that's your beta, that's the ratio. Let's say that ratio is 0.4. It means that you are going to follow this black line. And then your Reynolds number is 10 to the power 500,000. Then you're going to mark, you're going to draw a vertical, and then you are going to mark a point, and then from that point you are going to draw a horizontal, and that will be your CO. That's the value you take here. So here again, the way you do is that this is your black line. You first draw vertical, follow the black line, mark a point, then you can calculate CO. So that's how you use that. So once you have that CO, you should be able to do these calculations and calculate actual flow rate through this orifice meter. Nozzle meter is something same, it's very accurate device. Instead of CO, we have CN, nozzle discharge coefficient. You use that, equation is same that we used in chapter 3, and then you should be able to calculate Q. So that's how this works. And then you have Venturi meter, or for Venturi meter equation stays same, you use CV, that's your Venturi discharge coefficient, and then once you use that Venturi discharge coefficient, that's interesting, okay, it's wrong. I didn't know that. Okay. So now you use Venturi discharge coefficient, and then you can solve the problem. Normally Venturi meters are very accurate devices, so if the Venturi discharge coefficient is not given for some reason, you can simply use 0.98 or 0.99 value, and then you can solve these problems. Now that's your pipe flow rate measurement devices. Let's do a problem for pipe flow rate. These devices, we have nozzle meter here, and then for this nozzle meter, what we have is 60 millimeter diameter, and we want to calculate what is the small diameter of this nozzle. So that's the problem, to calculate small diameter for this nozzle. The flow rate is given, nozzle discharge coefficient is given. So this type of problem, it's really easy. All you have to do is understand what's happening in the problem, and then use the formula, punch in the numbers, and get your results. It's very easy. All you have to do is that you have to use this formula and calculate the diameter. Now in this case, nozzle discharge coefficient is given 0.972, the flow rate is given 0.003. What we don't have is this diameter, and because of that we don't have area, and we don't have beta. This value here and this value here, we don't have that. So you need to, so all you have to do is that put the numbers in and calculate that diameter, calculate this A and beta, and then you should be able to do that. So all you have to do is put the numbers in and then calculate. Now in this kind of problem, the density of ethyl alcohol is not given, so you can get that density from the table 1.6. In your book you have a table for all the materials. So for that ethyl alcohol, the density is get around 789 kilogram per meter cube. You take that density, put it in here, you should be able to calculate diameter. So this is the equation that you have to solve, and then all you have to do is punch in the numbers and then calculate your diameter, which will come around 34.1 millimeters. So that's the answer. So we have 60 millimeter here, 34 millimeter here, and that's the problem. Calculate the diameter, everything is given, formula is there, calculate the diameter, and you are done with the problem. It's very easy. You have to use this formula with nozzle discharge coefficient. Now the final part is pipe flow rate measurement, variable area flow meters, rotameter. So here, apart from your orifice meter or nozzle meter or Venturi meter, there are some other devices that are used to measure flow rate. Now I'm going to add some videos for this kind of flow rate device. So here we have one device. It is very common device which is widely used in industry. We call it rotameter. Now rotameter or variable area flow meters, they don't need electricity or any kind of power source to run this device. All we have is a vertical device, a vertical tube in which we have a transparent vertical glass tube. So transparent tube is normally has variable area cross section. So here we have smaller area, and then here we have larger area, and then it goes like this. So here we have float inside. So if water is not flowing, though this one is inlet, this one is outlet. If water is not flowing, it goes from top to bottom to top. This float is at the bottom, and then it starts flows, it goes up, and then wherever it stops, that will be your flow rate. It's very easy concept, and they are very popular devices because of their simplicity. And then there will be a video, and then you can see that video how this it's uploaded on a Blackboard. You can see how these devices work. That's your variable area flow meters or rotameter. And then final device is turbine meter. Turbine meter is like your wind turbine or your water turbine. In the pipe we add a small turbine, and then as this turbine rotates, you can calculate flow rate. So faster the rotation, more the flow rate, smaller the rotation, less the flow rate. So they are very common devices. Again and again I'll add some video to understand this turbine meter, but that's the general idea, that it's going to rotate, more the rotation, higher the flow rate, lower the rotation, lower the flow rate. So these are some pipe flow rate measurement devices, rotameter and turbine meter, and that's your end of chapter 8. So this is the final part in chapter 8. So in this chapter mostly we learn how to modify our Bernoulli's equation, how to calculate major loss and minor loss, and a few things about these measurement devices. So that's pretty much your chapter 8. I'm going to stop here now. We are going to continue with chapter 9 with our next class. Our first exam will be in first week of November. So, our second exam will be in first week of November. It will be on chapter 8 and chapter 9. We finished chapter 8 today. We are going to finish chapter 9 within coming week. And then we are going to have our first exam. Our second exam in November 2nd or 3rd, it's the first week of November. So that's all for today. I'll stop here now and stay safe. That's it.